Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news this Sunday night. How are you feeling? Welcome to the Christmas tree. I think that deserves a like. And also, I've got to say, just when I was out, he's pulled me back in. I'm so conflicted about Amorim. I don't know whether anyone else feels like me. I'm going to be very honest. I put the tree up because it was in a good mood. And I'm sort of conflicted because at the start of the game today, I was in a very bad mood about the lack of changes. I didn't like the way we played. And then I loved the way that we won. And then I listened to his post-match interview and I liked him even more again. And I think this is just why I'm sort of so reluctant to give up on Amorim. And that might just sound too premature. Anyway, some of you might have given up. Some of you might never give up. But you know what? Nothing will ever replace the joy of Manchester United winning games, and that's what matters. And I look at the league table, and I look at it, and I go, you know what? Look at that. That doesn't look anywhere near as it could have done at half-time today. 7th place, very close to the top 4. I've seen people saying, apart from Arsenal, it's anybody's. Is that true? I'm just conflicted. I'm conflicted, and it's interesting that Isaac said his post-match was good, and it surprised me. Look, my issue with Amorim is plentiful. I hate the way we're playing football. I hate the obsession with long throw-ins and set pieces. I hate the fact that he's been here a year and we still play really bad football and we're just focused on grinding out results. And I'm like, at some point, we are Manchester United. We're not Stoke. When are we going to start playing football? We could have won today and we did. We could have lost today and we didn't. We could have drawn and we didn't. I mean, I was listening to Oliver Glasner and he said it was a tough defeat. We were the better team in the first half, but 2 set pieces, it doesn't really feel like it was deserved. I think they could have won it. We did win it. It could have been a draw. So I'm not going to argue about that. But it's the performance that has me worried. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be fooled by all the players going on Instagram and backing each other. They love to get on Instagram and back each other. Absolutely. My opinion on the players is this. It's a relationship that needs to end. It's like arranging to go to a pub with someone you want to break up with, and then they turn up and they've dressed up nicely and they start talking about the good old days, and maybe you have another night together and then you wake up in the morning and you think it's still a mistake. I'm like, they're not going to pull me back in. I was not surprised by that performance today in the second half because that's what a light switch is. But in relation to Amorim, I separate him from the players and I am conflicted. There is a lot that I like about him. There is a lot I don't like about what he's doing. There is a lot that's confusing me and there's a lot that I can see what he's trying to do. It's not like Arteta at Arsenal where I looked at it from the outside and I could see what he was doing. I don't think Arsenal fans look at Amorim and go, oh, I can see what he's doing. I don't think anybody does. But then I listened to him after the game and he says, we were the better team in the second half with more intensity while the opponent was more tired. Everything is connected. And I think, again, there was people on the match reaction who were going, stop being so negative and back your manager. And it was a bit like a year ago when he won his first game at Old Trafford and we won 4-0 against Everton. And there was people saying, that's Amorim ball. I said, it's not. And people were going, oh, stop being so bloody negative. And then within a few minutes, Amorim does an interview saying, we're going to suffer. That's not Amorim ball. And it's almost like, well, we obviously think the same. And I'm sure there's many of you who think the same. Amorim, what pulls me back in to back and support him fully is the fact that he just keeps coming out with things that I actually think a lot of us feel. I felt that in the second half, Palace just died because they'd played on Thursday night. And we went up a gear because we'd been shit in the first half. And like Amorim says, everything's connected. He said Palace were tired and we played with more intensity because we had to. And we sort of went past them. And I think, well, you know what? That honesty and clarity is basically the manager saying, we're going to keep suffering. Because he could come out and go, oh, yeah, we're back. And he never does. He's always really honest. And that sincerity and honesty appeals to me at a football club that I think is on its arse. I don't buy into the fact that it's anybody's for top 4. I think we're a long way off it. I think watching Chelsea today, they're way better than us. Way better than us. With 10 men, they were bloody fantastic. Manchester City are way better than us. And I don't really know where we fit this season. I'm just really happy that we've won and we've put ourselves in a race that is very, very, very open. But I'm grateful that Ruben Amorim comes out and is actually honest with us because I actually do think in the second half we got better because they got tired. And I do think in the second half we got better because the players decided to have a go. And I think Amorim comes out after games and he's probably more focused on why they don't start like that. So I do have a massive amount of, support for Amorim, but then I am conflicted because I do look at it and go, there's things he does that I don't like, So it's that's sort of where I am. My apologies, Mark. I called Gyökeres in the last watch along badly. It is unlike me, says Rub. Okay. And John says, admit it, Mark. You don't run Ruben Amorim sacked, but when you lose, you do. Admit it, John. You can't construct a sentence. Maybe come back when you can, because I don't know what that's all about. West Ham on Thursday. Yes, Fank. And look, hopefully, when we talk about what's next, and I want to talk about a few bits tonight, I think that it's I read a lot of people's comments because that's how we've built this community. You've got to read, you've got to listen, you've got to consume, and you've got to react. And I look at, there's a lot of people saying things like, oh, I really wish we'd just won that Everton game. That makes everything better. And I'm like, but we were really lucky against Spurs that wasn't a loss. We totally deserved to lose to Everton. We were a bit crap against Forest in the second half. I don't think we can just say if we'd beat Everton, everything would be okay. I mean, like I say, that Palace game could have been a draw. It could have been a loss. The season is what it is. And I think that causes conflict as well. We can all sit there in the summer and say that this season's going to be a roller coaster. I literally did. But that doesn't mean the roller coaster's enjoying. It's great when you have a win, but when you dip, it makes you feel down. West Ham on Thursday, I will not walk into the trap of Everton. I think that we have to win, but it doesn't mean that we will win. I think Wolves away on Monday. We have to win, but it doesn't mean that we will win. But it would be nice in the context of that league table if we could just go and win the next 3 games before we play Villa away. And Villa away, we could win. No one really thought we'd beat Palace or Liverpool away, so we could win. But I think it's really important that we do get those wins. West Ham won't have Paqueta, as Thrush says. So, look, the opportunity is back there again. I said that I think Everton and Palace was going to be 4 points. It's 3 points. So, in my mind, we've dropped 1 point. We can still pull it back and go and get some good results. I think it's really easy for me to sit and say this, but what do you think Man United are at the moment after 13 games? What do you think we are? What do you think we are this season? I mean, I think if you're Liverpool, you look at it and go, hopefully that's the bad run over. We're a really good team. We're going to climb the league. If you're Arsenal, you're looking to win the league. If you're Chelsea and City, you're trying to compete for the league. If you're Newcastle and Villa, you want to get into the top 4. I don't know what we are. I don't even think Ruben Amorim would dare say what we are. I don't know what we are at the moment. Are we trying to just get to January and recruit? Are we not going to recruit and believe that we can get into Europe without it? Would we be happy with top 8? I think that sometimes causes a lot of conflict as well. The lack of identity and the lack of ability from anybody within that football club to actually say what we're trying to do. It feels to me like every game is a battle. Every game is a war. And can we win that battle? We go to the next one. And that's fine. I'll always be honest, I am conflicted. I feel like, I read some people saying stuff like, although we've won, I'm finding it hard to feel excited and I'm uninspired by the football. And then you get other people saying, I don't agree with that. I think, we're really building something and we've got to be really, really patient. And I think, again, that's a point of conflict for me because winning always is a good thing. Always. Because you never know when the next one's going to happen. However, the way we're playing is horrible. It's horrible. Now, some people don't care. And that is to be respected. Some people are like, I don't really care. It's a long job. He's just got to win games, and he's done that today. And that's fine. But how long do you say that for? Because with Ten Hag, it was always an issue how he played. But with Amorim, it seems to me that because he is honest and we all like him, we forgive the crap football. Who was it who said if he wasn't good looking, he'd be in a lot more trouble? Which I think is really horrible on Ten Hag, because that's what they're saying. However, I do find the football repulsive. really repulsive. I never thought I would be at this point, but I desperately want us to play a back four. I really do. I think we'd be a better team with it, but he won't play a back four. And I don't blame him for it, because that's not what he is. However, I just think we're massively struggling to play good football because the players literally don't suit it. Now, I'm hoping that the return of Martinez, I think he suits this system like a glove. I think Martinez in a centre-back too, sometimes in the modern game, especially with the set pieces, I think Martinez in a back two becomes weaker in this season that we're playing because of the high ball. But in a three, steps into the midfield, very good player. He could be transformative in this system. The wide players, they don't work. Delo is not really going to work as a left wing back, even though he played well today. And Ahmad is still learning the role. The midfield is well documented. So I don't know. I think it's what next? What we're capable of. I think it's really important to have the league table there, because I do think we can climb the table, and I do think the league plays into our hands. I think if we had Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle really good, we wouldn't get anywhere near the top five. What we have is this really congested Premier League where every game people are dropping points. That plays into our hands hugely, whereby you can have an Everton, but as long as you go and win your next one, you're never really going to lose ground because nobody's winning 2 or 3 games on the bounce. So we can stay in this fight. And results are going to be, very, very important. But stylistically, Cunha's massively important as well. I think Cunha back in the team helps. But we are struggling. And I think, Carth says moments team. Look, today was moments. You can't argue about it. I think some people weren't intelligent enough to understand what I was saying about Bruno. I thought as a midfielder, he was atrocious. But as an assister, he was brilliant. And he could have got those assists as a number 10. And people said, you didn't do them as a number 10 because they were set pieces. And I'm like, you didn't listen. What I'm saying is, if Bruno had played as a number 10, he would have got both of those assists because they were free kicks. They've got nothing to do with him being a midfielder. So I think that stylistically, it's hard at the moment. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you think we're going to start playing better football and winning more games? That has to be the pathway, because I might be singing in the darkness again, but I actually don't think Manchester United playing a new fusion of Stoke City's football is going to last very long on the pitch, but also in the fan base. I think it's atrocious. I think some of the football we're playing this season is terrible. And I don't know whether that's deliberate or not. I don't know whether it's a short-term thing or not. I don't know what the vision is. I don't know what it is. And I am conflicted. But I still like Amorim. I think every manager I've said, get out of my football club or get out, is because I've just lost patience and given up on them. And I just can't take that step with Amorim. And I'm very glad that we won today, because I think if we'd lost, I might have said it. I might have done because the football was so bad. I think I might have just gone, I've had enough of this. But the win the win helps massively. But look, I've had my say. I want to get into your bits, because I do think there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. Is there much separating us from Brighton and Sunderland and Aston Villa and Chelsea and Liverpool and Crystal Palace and Brentford? When you look at the top, maybe not Man City, Arsenal, definitely not. Maybe Chelsea can come into it. Is there a lot separating us? Because I know there isn't a lot separating us points-wise, but stylistically, I think Brighton are a better footballing side. I haven't watched loads of Villa. Obviously, Liverpool are playing badly, but they've got a better squad. Sunderland, I've not really seen a lot of them. Crystal Palace, look, they were tired in the second half, but they're a tough watch. Brentford, I think we're better than them. Villa, I haven't seen a lot of. We're not. The thing is, I don't think we play good football. And if that doesn't improve, then it's hard to say that there's not a lot separating us. I watched that Arsenal game against Chelsea, and their midfields are on a different level. Reece James, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Eze, they're just a different level. And yet, we get a result today. Emily Derry says, we also struggle because this system doesn't really suit Bruno, who has taken on most of the creative work in the side, and we've shoehorned him into midfield. We can't live with him or without him. And that was sort of my point, Emily. I think there's people who think I don't like Bruno Fernandes, and that's absolutely fine. I don't really care what you think, because I know what I think. And I know that when we didn't sign him in the summer, I was fuming. And then when we bought him in the January, I was ecstatic because I knew he was going to be a very impactful player for us because I know what he was doing at Sporting and he was perfect. And he still is one of my favourite players, but I do give him a lot of shit. I'm not going to lie about that because I can't stand him in the midfield. I want him to play as a number 10. And today, those 2 assists can happen if he's right back, goalkeeper, centre back. It doesn't matter where he's playing because he'd still take the free kick and he'd still get the assist. I want to see him play as a number 10. We are shoehorning him in the team. It does damage us. It does hurt us. He's got to renovate that midfield. I don't know whether he will. But we've got, for me, if we want to play good football, you've got to change the midfield. And I don't know whether he's going to do that. I wonder if he would adapt to a 4-3-3, centre back to DM, says Ryan. And honestly, we are where we're meant to be, says John. It's a roller coaster season and it only changes by moving old players on and bringing fresh faces in, says John. And that's another point of confusion for me because I think if Harry Maguire was fit, Yoro's out. Dorgu's already out for Dalot and Mainoo can't get a sniff. So in that team, he favours experience over youth. I understand it. It's not illogical. It's because he's chasing results. He's playing survival football. But at some point, I remember. It's funny enough, Villa on that table there. I remember Ten Hag was under huge pressure, and we went to Villa Park. I thought we were going to lose. It was a crap 0-0, and he picked people like Johnny Evans, and he went with a very experienced team. And I remember everyone was saying, that's great that we didn't get beat, and it's great that we've got a draw at a difficult place. But what does that team tell me about tomorrow? Because it can't be about tomorrow. It's too short term. And that is something I'm sort of confused about with Amorim as well. I mean, he bought Dorgu, and he's thrown him under a bus this morning in what he said. He didn't buy Yoro, did he? He didn't buy Yoro. But Yoro, Dorgu, Mainoo could be the future. Whereas Dalot, Maguire, Casemiro, Bruno, Luke Shaw can't be the future. So I agree with John. I think this season is about being exactly where we are. There'll be good games, there'll be bad games. Ruben Amorim would sit here and say that himself. We're going to suffer, we're going to have good results. Sometimes we have no intensity, sometimes we do. Sometimes the light is on, sometimes the light is off. That's fine in the short term. We win, maybe we win on Thursday, maybe we win after that. Maybe we win a few games, maybe start losing again, get confused, get conflicted, blah, blah, blah. The question has to be, what is the end game? And at what point do we realise that this short-termism has to become more long-term? In the essence of what I'm saying is, we can't keep using Casemiro and Bruno and Maguire and Dalot at left wing back. That won't work. It's like throwing a dice, and if you land on evens, you're okay, but if you land on odds, you're down the snake. And we will throw odds, and we will throw evens. Everton lose, Palace win. But I don't know when he's going to start to show us the vision. I think to a certain extent, Cunha, Mbeumo, Sesko, Lemens are the vision. But there needs to be more than that. And I don't know when he's going to do it. I think what he's doing at the moment is just trying to win games with players that he trusts. But those players that he trusts don't have a long-term future. So at some point, when are we going to see the change again? I think the biggest problem I have, the biggest conflict I have, is I really like him. I really want him to do well. But I've got no idea what his vision is. And I'm yet to speak to anybody who does. I think there are fans out there that just adamantly want him to do well. And I do want him to do well. But I'm not naive. And we've been down this road so many times. I want to know the vision. You know, if he came out and said, it's very clear what we're doing at the moment is just trying to survive and win games. But obviously, over the next 6 months, I'm going to change the team because it needs to change. I don't know whether he could say that publicly. I don't know whether that's the plan. I think as fans, as Manchester United fans, we're very greedy. Liverpool fans are the same. Arsenal fans are the same. There's certain clubs where results are everything. Your Nottingham Forests, your Evertons, your Crystal Palaces. If you're winning, happy days. If you're in the top 8, happy days. But at Manchester United, quite rightly, because of who we are and what we've done and what we stand for, winning is good. Performance and winning is ideal. And the performance thing has to happen at some point. And I don't know when that happens, you know? I think it's just a matter of when and not if, says Byron. And Nurse says, the issues start with the ownership, but Amorim doesn't help himself with his decisions and tactics. He's had a year. Nothing has changed. We can't go on like this. It's just a matter of time. Amorim out. The cycle continues, says Nurse. I read something today, and I really wish I could remember the name of the person. And they basically said, I like Amorim. His system is fine, but a year in, his system doesn't work. It doesn't look like it's going to work, and they're going through every game, rolling the ball and hoping they knock the Skittles down. And sometimes it goes in the alley, and sometimes it knocks the Skittles down. And it's almost like I would add to that and say it's like throwing it blind. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I do look at Unai Emery at Villa, and he came in and they played well and they played good and they won. And I do look at Sean Dyche at Everton, and they play the Dyche way. They've had some good results. Nuno at West Ham. I look at Amorim, and a year in, I don't think we're any closer to anything I saw at Sporting. And I didn't watch Sporting every week, but I knew what Sporting were about, and I'd seen them play a few times, and we have never seen anything like it. And I don't know, a year down the line, I feel like Amorim is picking teams and just trying to get results. And that's, in a way, confusing, because we have an amazing away support. We have an amazing support. I think the home support's been incredible. But I don't think you could ask any of them fans beyond results. And result matters. Of course it does. I said this morning. Winning is all that matters, because that dictates your weekend. But the actual performance is atrocious. The actual vision is not clear. And I don't know when that starts to change. I don't know when that... Does it change? I don't know. I think it can change with an influx of new players. But is that going to happen? I don't know. I think Xerxes is better than Sesko, says an MK. I think you're a flip-flop and a prat. We are a team... No, let me answer that properly. I think at half-time, 95% of our fan base would have sold Xerxes for very little money. I think after he scores that goal, suddenly he's the best player in the world. I think that we could do with Xerxes and Sesko playing well. We are a team playing in survival mode, says Abdul. You're saying he's lucky if we win. If we lose, we doubt him, says John. I didn't say he was lucky. I don't know what you're on, John, but you can't construct sentences and you talk shit. I don't know what you're talking about. I've not heard anyone say we were lucky. Everybody, and myself included, said you can't say we didn't deserve to win. Could have been a draw, could have been a loss, but you can't argue that with the fact that we won. Do you think we'll see rotation on Thursday, considering we'll be playing again on Sunday? Mainly some rotation in the midfield to stay in. We're not playing on Sunday. We're playing on Thursday and then the following Monday. So, I mean, I hope Mason Mount can play. He played 90 minutes today. Can he do that twice in a week? That would be great. If we'd lost, we would be in meltdown. Fickle, says what's up, Sham. And I think, yeah, but I think that's just the integrity of you and me. Like, at half time, people were shouting Amorim out. I didn't see anybody come into the chat and go, let's back the manager. He knows what he's doing. It's a hard job. We win 2-1, and then the people who are saying, I'm not happy about this, are suddenly the worst people in the world, and they're the best people in the world. Welcome to the world. That's just how people are, fickle. They shift up very, very quickly. Only people who understand football can look at the fine line between winning and drawing, or winning and losing today. It could have been a loss. It could have been a draw. It was a win. Celebrate it, but to start saying everything's fine and we're heading in the right direction, I think that's a big leap. I think that's a big leap. And it's probably not a leap I want to have. The conversation I'm having with you is that I'm conflicted. The conversation I'm having with you is that I'm confused. The conversation I'm having with you is just when I think I'm sort of moving towards, I've just about had enough of Amorim, I listen to a post-match press conference and I'm back behind him again going, yes, you are my manager. So I am just massively conflicted. He's a dilemma. The Amorim dilemma, I call it. I'm, there's all that. And that's before, some of the stuff he does I don't like. Some of the stuff he does I love. And then also, I've got to be fair and park that and say, also, his biggest problem is the board, who are a load of shit and would make Pep Guardiola's job a nightmare. So I've got the Amorim stuff going on where he does stuff I just don't understand. And then he does stuff I do understand. And then I've got a board that will make anybody's job hard. It's tough. It really is. And I look at the league table and I go, this could be the weirdest season ever. Maybe we start playing well against West Ham and we start winning games. That's not a bad platform to go from 7th to top 4. On the other hand, it's not a bad platform to start losing games and go down into the bottom half of the table. And I think those scales are out again where I just don't know what we're about this season. I don't. If we were playing good football, I think I could sit here after 13 games and go, look, we've lost a few games, but we're playing well. I believe in the way that we're playing. I think we will get better and better. But at the moment, in the absence of a style of football that is conducive with anything I've ever seen, it's hard to predict what's going to happen. You think we should target someone like Grimaldo at left wing back, says Mayuk. Look, I don't know. I get the sense that Amorim's given up on Dorgu, which is incredible because it was his signing. I found his comments about Dorgu really hard to read because it's a player that he bought, but he's basically thrown him under the bus. Now, maybe he's doing that because he wants Dorgu to react, and I'm sure that's how he is saying it, but it's a risk. It's a risk when you out a player publicly, especially in the modern day. Not every player responds to that. So does that mean he wants a new player? Because he phrased it with, let's wait and see what happens in the window, and then he spoke about how bad Dorgu's been, basically. So maybe he does want somebody else. I mean, Delo's like a loyal puppy, isn't he? He's always going to be loyal and he's always going to run around a lot. But has he got any coordination or sense? I don't think so. So look, someone like Grimaldo down the left-hand side would be decent, but he's over 27 and that's against the INEOS policy. So I definitely feel that he wants something down that left-hand side. I mean, look, if we went and bought Mainoo, that's a bloody attacker. You've got Ahmad on the right, you've got Mainoo on the left. I mean, do it. It's attacking. At least we're going to attack. But why are we talking about that when the midfield's still the midfield? Like, the midfield played really bad against Everton and really bad in the first half today, and he didn't change it. He didn't go anywhere near Mainoo or Agate. So if those two players can't get involved when the midfield is playing dreadful, he doesn't trust them. So please buy midfielders. Like, that needs to happen. Chip says, if you want Amorim to go through the process of culling this team and doing an actual rebuild, you've got to give him a new contract and back him properly. Before that happens, I understand why he goes for the short-term options, says Chip. But he's been here a year, mate. You're talking like he's been here a month. I agree with what you're saying. If you want Amorim to go through the process, then he's got to cull the team, he's got to have money, and he's got to build it. But he's been here a year. Like, you could say the same about Sean Dyche, but you'd still have a vision of what Sean Dyche... I don't see what Amorim's doing. Stylistically, I don't see it. Are we basically saying that we've got a right bunch of morons who can't do anything other than just play inconsistently? Like, I mean, maybe I'm being unfair, but I would have expected better football than set piece. There's no... The football's dreadful, mate. That has to be in the room. The football is dreadful. He does need players, and you can cover off Bruno, Casemiro, Delo, etc. by saying he needs new players, so he's just using them in the short term. Of course you can, but I'd still expect to see better football. What's up? Sham says John's right. We're Moments FC. That's being lucky. Oh, Tyrus, thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. If you got one, please give a thank you and a W to him. Abdul says it can be long-term. Ownership believes we should be top 4. He can't have his own vision either because he needs... he says it can't be long-term. Ownership believes we should be top 4. He can't have his own vision either because he needs results today. I blame the ownership. I certainly don't think stuff coming out about this being a top 4 team is fair. I mean, look, the way the league table is at the moment, you can't say we're not a top 4 team, but I think that's just because the Premier League is behaving very strange at the moment. If Liverpool had been the team they should have been, top 4 would be out of sight and we'd be fighting for 5th. And that the only reason that 5th is obtainable is because Spurs are shite, Newcastle have been really shit, and Villa are there, aren't they, at the moment? Marlowe says, no one in the team seems to want to play for each other. They look like they are playing together for the first time every match. The last time we saw proper chemistry was between Bruno and Rashford. And Kaziman says, do you expect Brighton and Villa to stay up there, or are we competing with others? I think Brighton will not stay up there. I'm stunned that Brighton are there. I don't think Sunderland will stay there. I think it's amazing what they're doing. I don't think Villa will stay there because Thursday night football is going to start to bite them in the latter half of the season. So I think Liverpool will come through. And 5th place will be the opportunity it's always been. I mean, fifth place isn't an opportunity because of us. 5th place is an opportunity because it's always been. If Newcastle, Villa and Spurs can't take it, it's an opportunity. And they can't take it, in my opinion. So 5th place is there for the taking. It's just how hard we're going to have to fight for it, you know. I mean, look, maybe there are people out there that are so fed up that they really want it to all go wrong. I don't know. From my point, if we're not going to get top 5, I'd rather we were competing for it until the end of April just to make this season interesting. I don't want another season to implode. We haven't got Europa League this year. The FA Cup, who knows? We could get a really tough tie and get knocked out. So the league is all we really have. And the importance of Man United winning should not be understated. But the importance of winning contextually is that, look at that league table. If we'd lost, I think we were going to be 13th. We have to stay in. Now, look, maybe we don't beat Wolves away. Maybe we beat West Ham and we don't beat Wolves. Maybe we beat Bournemouth and we lose to Villa. But as long as we're there or thereabouts, at least we can dream as fans. I mean, I think we bloody deserve that, don't we? I mean, look, I don't like a lot of the players. I don't like the owners. I do like Amorim, and I do like some of the players. But I like you. I like our fans, and I think we deserve better. And, you know, the one positive at the moment is no matter what you think about how we play, and no matter what you think about our light switch on and off football, the league is really useful at the moment. Like, you can lose to Everton and still not lose ground if you win your next game. And that might be what it is. That might be what it is. Just on Baleba very, very quickly. Brighton used Baleba for 4 minutes today. A fantastic win at Forest, something we couldn't do. And Baleba played the last 4 minutes. It's getting worse for him. Normally he starts and gets hooked after an hour. He's now coming on for the last 4 minutes. His vision is trying to build a team of experienced 8 to 9 first teamers and then nurture 1 or 2 youngsters in the team. Easier this way, same as Sir Alex, says Frank. Please never compare Ruben Amorim to Sir Alex again. And also, Frank, I'm old enough to remember Sir Alex, and he didn't play this shitty style of football. There was a style of football with Sir Alex. So I don't know what you're talking about, but that is arse talk. Like, what are you talking about? There's no replication of what Sir Alex Ferguson did at Manchester United by Amorim at the moment. That was a completely different time, completely different project. And Sir Alex Ferguson did come down from Scotland with a style of play that he was trying to implement from day one. I'm really struggling with the way we're playing at the moment after a year. I don't think that's defendable. I will defend Amorim and I do want him to do well, but let's not pretend we're playing any brand of football at the moment that anybody can see. It's strange. So no, Frank, I think you're trying to be helpful, but honestly, mate, there is no correlation between what Sir Alex Ferguson was doing. Look, we didn't play well under Sir Alex. We did lose a lot of games, and he didn't finish particularly high in the league table. But there was a style of football, it just wasn't good enough at times. At the moment, all I see from United today was these long diagonals again, trying to win free kicks, set pieces and corners and throw-ins to launch it into the box and try and get ahead on it. And Amorim even look, and this is why I like Amorim again. Like, this is what I mean. I listened to his post-match game, and he basically said we got back in the game because Palace got tired. And he also said on set pieces, it's so important. Throw-ins, free kicks, corner kicks. If you don't work on set pieces, you're losing the game already. Like, so, you know, this is what I mean. I might say that about set pieces, throw-ins and corners, and people will say, oh, stop saying stuff about Amorim. But it's what he says. He said Palace were tired in the second half, and that's why we beat them. He said we've got to focus on throw-ins, free kicks and corners, because if you don't, you're going to lose the game already. I mean, but that's Manchester United now. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Like, we are basically just playing for free kicks, corners and set pieces. We're not actually playing a brand of football. That needs to change, surely. Surely we want to score goals from open play. Surely we want to see something attractive. When is that going to happen? I believe our style is good. We've had plenty of good games. We just don't have all the right players. Midfield really letting us down. Elliott is a must, says Milan. What's the style, mate? You're obviously happy. Please, pray tell us what the style of play is. I'd love to know what's making you happy. And I'd love to know how it's working with no midfield. I'd love to know what this style of play is that you're talking about, but the midfield's no good. What style of play is it? No, I'm not being facetious. I'm not being sarcastic. I want to know what good style of play we're playing, but you're also acknowledging the midfield's not very good. If Mainoo and Agate can't get in the first team, Man United need to sign someone in January, says Sal. You know what? It's been said before by so many of you, and it is so true. Let Mainoo, the poor lad, go on loan. It's sad. It's separate to today. It's separate to the conversation we've had. But in relation to Mainoo, if the club don't let him go, it's bordering on something I don't even have a word for. It's cruel. It's really cruel. 2 years ago, he was the bright spark of the team. He was playing for England in the Euros, and he was a prospect. He can't even get a minute in a shit midfield now. You've got to let him go in January. Like, I don't know who's making the decision. They've got to let him go, and they've got to give Amorim what he wants. That has to happen. It's so unfair. Many players outsource their social media profiles to agencies, and that's why so many post-match reactions are very similar, says Alan. I don't know about that. So when a player says you're cooking or anything like that, that's actually not them doing it. I didn't know that. I think it is them doing it, because when you look on the bus and that, they're always on the phones. I give Ruben until Bruno out for good football. 8 or 10, we can't play anything but counter-attack with a chance of being the focus, says Rick. And Ark says, to be fair, this did happen with previous managers. Without players for their system, they try a fail-safe survival mode that we hate. Let him build a squad first, says Arka. And we've done that from Emily Derry as well. Cozy Warrior says in capital letters, so this will be good. It's always a good sign that you're going to get a really good point when it's capital letters. That is sarcasm, by the way. Mark is so dumb, bro. Why put bro in there? Mark is so dumb, bro. He's blaming the league because we are 5th. Like last year, he didn't blame the league. We were 50. Oh my God. Apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm actually going to apologise. That has to be the most stupid. Called the Cozy Warrior. You should be called the Stupid Warrior. We're not 5th for a start. We're not 5th, mate. It's been right next. You know the number 7 next to it. That means we're 7th, not 5th. We're not bloody Brighton. So what are you talking about? 5th. And I'm not dumb because you're saying we're 5th. I'm saying we're 7th. So there's only one person dumb, pal. And also, I'm not blaming the league because we're 7th. I'm not blaming the league for that. I don't even know what you're talking about. What I'm saying is the league is ultra competitive at the moment, and that massively helps us. Massively helps us because it keeps the door open that if you lose one and win one, you don't really lose any ground because everyone else is losing one and winning one despite our football. I take that as a positive, not a negative. So I don't know what you're talking about, but if there's one person who's dumb, it isn't me, because I can see that we're 7th and you think we're 5th. I can never be any coach out. I'm Glazers out first, says Lev. And every manager with Bruno has reverted to counter-attack. He plays too risky for anything else. 8 or 10 doesn't matter. Send him packing, says Rick Blanton. Look, it's always a struggle to talk about Bruno because with some people, it's a pile-on, and with some people, it's the opposite. If you say anything, they overprotect him. If you say something, people love it because they don't like him. What I've come to accept with Bruno Fernandes is that he is our best player and he is our biggest problem. When we play well, it tends to be a good game from him. And when we play bad, it tends to be a bad game from him. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad games and there's a lot of good games. So it's like the light switch, which means Bruno Fernandes is a light switch player. It's basically become the Bruno Fernandes show. To play him in the team, like Emily said, we have to shoehorn him in. So he can have a terrible performance, but he can get 2 assists from set pieces and it's suddenly a consideration for man of the match. But those set pieces would happen if we played him in position and he'd probably have a better game. So where I get confused with Bruno is that admittedly, he got 2 assists in a game that won us the game today. So you've got to give him a good score, but take those 2 assists away and he's way below a 6 for me. But we can't take those 2 assists away because they're factual. So I say, if we played him as a 10, he still would have got the assists and he might have got more. What I've been trying to say for so many months is, we don't play good football. Bruno Fernandes still gets assists. Imagine if we played him where he's meant to play. Surely we'd play better. Surely moving the guy that disrupts our flow into the final third and putting somebody in the midfield who can help the flow makes us a better team. But I think he puts Bruno there because he wants to play Cunha and Mbeumo or Cunha and Mount. So he puts Bruno in a position to shoehorn him in. But I'm still convinced he should play as a 10 and a proper midfielder should play in the midfield. But, you know, you may as well get a big wall and bang your head against it because he ain't going to do it. We've had no Sesko, we've had no Cunha, and he still plays him in the midfield. So he's going to be a midfielder. Do you think the football will improve to a level Sporting if he gets his players, or do you think that the system doesn't suit us, says Bradley? I liked what David Beckham said today. He basically said this: I think there are signs of the manager turning it around. There's still a long way to go. I think we've got a good manager and he's changing things slowly. I like to believe that. I like to believe that. That's sort of where I'm at. I like to believe that things are changing slowly. We're moving in the right direction and we'll get there eventually. But I also have this other voice going, he came in from Sporting, from a league that, you know, he was very young in. He's come into a league where he's made loads of mistakes. He's ridiculously stubborn. And why is there any indication that we're moving in the right direction? And also, why are Man United so slow at moving in the right direction when other clubs can get a new manager in and move very, very quickly? And I think that's the conflict, isn't it? Are we moving in the right direction very slowly? Or is there no direction? And why is it so slow? That's quite good, isn't it? Are we moving in the right direction slowly, or is there no direction and it shouldn't be taking so long? Conflict. I don't know. It is Sir David Beckham, yes. We need to get used to that because he's bloody earned it. We did break Palace's 12-game streak. What are your thoughts on that, Rashid? My thoughts are on that it's not as impressive as some people want to make out. It's a statistic that really doesn't mean a lot. Or it can mean a lot, or it can mean nothing. We deserve to win the game, but they could have won the game. And also, I think that Amorim's right. I think we won the game because they were tired in the second half because they played on Thursday night and had to play again at midday. I think it's a ridiculous turnaround and it benefited us, but I said that in the preview. You've got to take advantage of it, and we did. I think if Palace had the whole week off, it would have been a very different game, but we can't. It's not our fault. That's not our fault. I think it was logical that Crystal Palace were going to get tired in that game. We saw it with us countless times last year. So it is what it is. We caught Palace in a very good time to catch them. I wouldn't have liked to have caught them on Thursday night. But, you know, Palace are a good side. They were shit in the... I'll tell you what I think changed that game. Sarr going off. I think Nketiah's total shit. I think that made a big difference as well. If that had been Sarr one-on-one, Luke Shaw would not have blocked that shot because Sarr's a lot quicker than Nketiah and he knows what he's doing. I think that Sarr injury, and again, Dalot caused that. I mean, I'm not going to applaud him for it, but it did help. I think the Sarr substitution massively helped us. For you, how many points can we get in the next 5 games? So we got West Ham. Oh, you're asking me to do something that I get the blame for when it doesn't happen. So let's pretend this is a universal agreed thing, yeah? West Ham, win. Wolves, win. They've got to be wins. They've got to be wins. So that's 2. Bournemouth are playing really badly at the moment. Really badly. And they're conceding a lot of goals. So I would say we've got to beat Bournemouth. Then Villa away... Draw. Newcastle at home. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'd say 3... I don't know. I'd say 3 wins. 3 wins, a loss and a draw. Yeah, I'd say 3 wins, a loss and a draw. We'll lose to Villa or Newcastle and we'll draw to Newcastle and Liverpool, but we'll win the next 3. I am a little bit worried about Wolves on Monday night. I watched Wolves against Villa this afternoon on and off, going in between the 2 games with Liverpool. And they did look a little bit better. And Newcastle will be a tough game. Newcastle will be a tough game, I think. Villa, I've not watched a lot of Villa. I mean, I watched them for about half an hour this afternoon, but I haven't watched a lot of Villa. If we start playing, you know what I want? Let's keep it positive. Christmas tree, Advent calendar day tomorrow as well. If we start playing football, we'll be fine. And this is going to really shock you because I think I'm the only person in the world that thinks this. I actually think in the first 10 minutes against Everton, we played well. We just misplaced a few passes. I think the tempo, this is going to destroy everybody. They're going to go, he's lost it, right? The first 10 minutes against Everton, I think the problem was misplaced passes. I actually think we were moving the ball really quickly and the intent was there. We just couldn't fucking pass. But don't do it, right? Why waste your life? But I'm telling you now, everyone says Everton were the better team before Idrissa Gueye got sent off. And they were, because their passing was better. But in the first 10 minutes, the only reason we didn't get into their half is because our passing would break down. It was almost like we'd play 3 or 4 really quick passes and then the 5th pass, we'd lose it. To me, that's not bad because I can see what we're trying to do. If the person misplaces the pass, I can see what they meant to do. They just haven't played the pass right. And I thought in the first 10 minutes against Everton and the first 10 minutes against Fulham, which is a long time ago now, we actually played quite well. And if it worked, we'd all go, that's really good. So sometimes I think, ooh, there's a glimpse. Maybe we start playing like that against West Ham and Wolves and Bournemouth, and then it becomes second nature. Maybe I'm an idiot. But I'm not, you know, look, as I said this afternoon, I think INEOS will stick with Amorim for the season. And I think that is the right thing to do. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get really pissed off with him. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to do well under him. But I think you've got to, like, he's got to be given till the summer. And the thing that makes me believe that is that if he was to get sacked before the summer, he's only been here a year. We're making big mistakes there if we're sacking managers, you know, who don't even get 18 months. Tickly throat. Might be a dusty tree, actually. Although you have been in a box. I like having the tree up. Sometimes before I go live, I just turn and play with the baubles. Yeah. Think of Christmas past when Man United were good. Baleba in January, Mark. I'd rather shit in my hands and clap, mate. I think he's absolutely shit at the moment. And I don't see how any of you can logically think a player that's playing shit and is now getting 6 minutes for Brighton is the solution for Manchester United. I mean, get in the real world, mate. He ain't anywhere near the player he was last year. With new midfielders, would he drop Bruno and Casemiro, says Byron? I think that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, Bruno Fernandes is not going to get dropped by this manager, so would he just drop Casemiro and keep Bruno? I think this is a great question from Andy Drew. He says, what did you make of Wharton? I think Wharton represented exactly what I think he is. He's a master of, he's a jack of all trades and a master of none. Anderson, I think, is really good at 3 or 4 things. Baleba, when he's good, is good at 3 or 4 things. Anderson is decent at everything, but he's a master of none. I think he's a good player, and he definitely bossed our midfield in the first half. In the second half, I think he was tired, but I think Crystal Palace were as well. So I think I tweeted this earlier. Baleba's played against us, Anderson's played against us, and Wharton's played against us. And if it means anything, if those auditions mean anything, and I'm not sure they do, Baleba was shite, Anderson was fantastic, and Wharton had a good first half and fell off in the second half. Bruno's not pulled a hamstring, no. He's fine. And Casemiro's not suspended. We are a Casemiro injury away from a meltdown, says Who to Blame. What's your thoughts on why Ruben Amorim doesn't rate Cobby, says Rashid. I don't know. I think that's a great question, and I don't know. I think when you look at United in the last 2 games and how poor the midfield has been, having a 20-year-old midfielder that has been the starlet of this team and not using him is odd. And I don't know whether there's a closed doors issue or he just doesn't rate him. And I'm not saying he needs to start him, but I would have expected him to come on at half-time today. I would have expected him to be more in the plans, but I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. What I would say about Wharton is, though, he's not the finished article. In 2 years' time, he could be a fantastic player. And I'm not saying he's a bad player now. Thanks for the question, though, about that, Andy Drew. Moments FC won't get us European football. Stubborn FC won't get us European football. And not developing the players' youth won't get us into Europe, says Jet PJ. Well, Moments FC got us into Champions League with Ollie. I mean, that's what it was. Luke Looker says, breaking. Man United won against Palace, says Ibrahim. And we did break Palace. Done that one from Rashid. Done that one as well. Done that one as well. Done that one as well. Thank you very much. I tell you what, I've enjoyed the show tonight. I like the fact that, look, I think watch-alongs and match reactions are good, but they are exhaustive and they are emotional, and that's what they're meant to be. But you know I'm a massive fan of our evening shows. I think we can be more reflective and honest and calm, and I appreciate you spending your time with me as always. Even if you're not watching live, leave your comments. But I'll always be honest, and, you know, before the game today, when he didn't make any real changes, and reading what he said about Mainoo and Dorgu, I was very, very at the limit. I was like, I'm getting so fed up of him. The first half, the style of football throughout the game, after a year, is really frustrating. The result is fantastic. The comments after the game are incredible. This manager, it just conflicts me. And I stay the course because I'm stubborn anyway. And I stayed very late with Mourinho and very late with Ollie and very late with Ten Hag. And I'm probably going to stay later with Amorim because I just don't want to keep sacking managers. But I am conflicted. For every positive, there's a negative, and for every negative, there's a positive. But I will say, I wasn't going to put the tree up, and then I read Amorim's comments after the game where he said we won because Palace were tired and we tried and we had more intensity, and then what he was saying about set pieces and everything, and it doesn't justify, but it explains, and I like that honesty. And I want him to succeed. You know, he's a likeable guy. And what he was at Sporting was a very entertaining manager with a very distinctive brand of football that everybody would love to see at Manchester United. And some of you might have watched a lot of Sporting. Some of you might have watched none. But there definitely was a style of play, and it definitely would be very agreeable with all of you. Unfortunately, over 12 months, we've seen very, very, very little of it. And we've seen a lot of vibes football, moments football, where it's just like a lot of long ball as well. And we saw a lot of this under Ten Hag. I mean, the amazing thing is we've had 4 different managers in the last few years. Oli, Rangnick, Ten Hag and Amorim. They're all very different in the style they want to play. But what we see week in, week out is very similar. I mean, Amorim, the only difference I see from Amorim to Ten Hag to Oli to Rangnick is the formation. And I think the reason the way we play with these diagonals. I remember Oli hitting diagonals to Rashford. I certainly remember Ten Hag hitting diagonals. And I see Amorim hitting long ball diagonals. Why would 4 different managers use similar tactics that they all use? Profile of player is the answer. Every manager, as somebody said early, ends up abandoning what they want to do to play to the strengths of the players they inherit. And their end of the lesson, we need to remove these players and give the manager the players that suit their system. Otherwise, we see very similar patterns between Ten Hag and Amorim and the long diagonals. We shouldn't be doing that. Harry Maguire was hitting long diagonals for Oli, you know, and we're still hitting long diagonals now. We've never been a very good team with the midfield. I mean, it was Oli that had McFred, who didn't want the ball. Ten Hag struggled with his midfield. You could park a bloody bus in it. Similar patterns because the manager isn't being given the players. Now, that needs to change. And that can only change from the top. And it should change in the January transfer window. We'll have to wait and see. Why don't they do what the fans want? You as the manager would be class, says Emma. Right, that's enough internet for tonight. Thank you very much for your super chat, Emma. Thank you, Monetary Group. And some brilliant questions tonight. You've been fantastic. The tree's up. It's December the 1st tomorrow. Manchester United did win the game. We've got a game on Thursday as well. We've got a midweek game. Frame it in the hang it in the Louvre. So let's have a bit of positivity. We did win. Winning when you're playing badly is a good thing. And we're hanging in there in the race for Europe. So ultimately, it's more positive than negative. But as I said on the match reaction, I'm happy we win, but I'm confused about the future. I think that's an honest assessment. Maybe that confusion will turn into optimism as we start to play really good football and buy some players in January. I'd take McFred over Bruno and Casemiro. Do you agree, says Zaid? No, I don't. I actually think Casemiro's better than Fred, and I think Bruno's better than McTominay. But I don't think there's a lot between them, and I thought McFred was shit. Take care, everyone. But we still got second place with McFred, so you can be shit and still finish in the top 4. Yeah, good point. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll speak 10 o'clock tomorrow. Actually, got lots, just a bit of a spoiler, quite a lot of accumulated stuff because we didn't do a Sunday morning show today for Monday morning around some transfer stuff as well, which I'll bring into the show tomorrow. Take care, stay safe, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks very much for tonight.